Shelby Phoenix. Welcome to Yoga Corner Chats. This is a live Instagram interview series. Hi. Where I interview women in wellness about their wellness and entrepreneurship journeys. And it's my intention, hi Jena, I think I sent you the invite. It's my intention to create a space where women entrepreneurs support, inspire, and empower each other. I will send you another invite, Jena. So, right now, working on getting Jena into the room. Jena joined us in June last year and shared about her babypreneurship, just starting her business and leaving her job, and shared about her journey of religion and spirituality. Since then, Jena has led a sold-out retreat in France that was in October, and today she's going to share all about the experience of hosting that retreat and some of the energetics that go into planning a retreat. So Jena is a Reiki channel, a retreat leader, and her specialty is really holding space for her clients in her Reiki sessions, her retreats, and her healing workshops. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Jena.
Hey.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good. You're a little pixelated on my end, and I'm wondering if it's my connection.
Does that help at all?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Because I was connected to my Wi-Fi, which is so terrible that actually just using the mobile service works better. But thank you for letting me know. That will make this go much more smoothly.
Yeah.
So, Jena, you know me. I like to start these chats off with a few deep breaths. Is that okay with you today?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Since meeting with you and also doing my own Reiki practice, whenever people want to hang out and we don't do deep breaths, I'm like, okay.
Wait, I'm not grounded yet.
Yeah, I guess I'm just going to not be grounded while we So yes, I would love to.
All right, settle into whatever surface you're on. Zip up your spine so you're sitting up nice and tall. Roll your shoulders up to your ears and allow them to drop down your back. Use your belly muscles to push the air out of your lungs and get empty. And then inhale through your nose, fill up. Let it go. We'll do 2 more big belly breaths. In through the nose. And get empty. One last big breath. Inhale. And get empty. Whenever you feel ready, gently flutter your eyes open. So, Jena, I have been learning how to download these videos and edit them, and you may have noticed that I used the live we did in June to post some videos of you promoting this live. I hope that's okay.
It is. I appreciated the clips you chose. They felt the least cringy. So.
Well, it's interesting to listen to those clips because those were from June. I think it was June 9th or something. And you had just quit your job and just started your business that week or the week before.
That's crazy.
And that feels like such a long time ago. So I'm wondering if you could maybe catch us up on the good, the bad, the ugly. What's been going on for you and your business since June?
Yeah, wow. First of all, I just want to say that like your makeup looks really nice.
Oh.
And like, are you wearing lipstick?
I am. Well, it's lip stain. You put it on and then it stains your lips and it doesn't come off.
It's like a very nice shade on you.
Thank you.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, that's so great. Was it really June?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So June is when I left my full-time job in coffee. I think June was probably when I launched my first retreat. So
Yeah.
I was like flying by the seat of my pants. Like, yeah, I still feel that way in some ways, but at that point I was like, I have no idea. Like, this is an experiment. I don't know if this is gonna work. We'll see. Gosh. Yeah, since then I led my first retreat. I've done so many firsts since then. I led my first sort of like weird blend of stuff where I did that glow in the dark yoga to the Stranger Things theme in the back of a beer store. And I think through doing that event, I kind of realized how much I just love like bringing healing and healing events to non-yoga studios.
Yeah. Totally. I understand that too.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I just didn't put it together because like so I've always done stuff like this no matter what container I've been in. Like I was in Christianity for a long time, like evangelical Christianity, and I did the same thing I'm doing now. Like I created healing events and I really liked doing them outside of the church. I like doing them in basements and like breweries and people's backyards and stuff like that. So anyway, there's just that thread of continuity like through everything I've done, where now I'm a yoga instructor and like Reiki channel, and I love studios are awesome for like meeting people, but there's something so special about like offering a healing space in a beer store.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. And you're bringing it to people instead of people having to come to you. I think sometimes that makes it more accessible.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. So there's just been a lot of discovery along that line. Led my first retreat in France with Tour Hero at the Frog's House. And that was huge for a lot of reasons. Yeah.
So let's like go into that a little bit more. First of all, before the retreat, was it like a plan? Did you want to host retreats? Like, how did you get into that space? How did your business go in that direction?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because to a lot of people it seems really random, but for me, I'm like, this is what I've always been doing. Like, it's that same thing. Like, to talk about that line of continuity again, when I was in Christian spaces, I wanted to be like a missionary. Right. I wanted to go abroad. So like I led a group of 12 people to Nepal in 2019, like to work with nonprofits and
really cool.
Yeah. And like when I was 18, I moved to Australia for a year, and I've always just like loved traveling. So when I was in YCT, I knew I'd do retreats. Like, it was just obvious. So yeah, right when I decided to become a yoga teacher, I was also deciding that I would do retreats.
So in June, who is Tour Hero and how did you all connect? Like, how did it start?
Yeah. Social media, baby. Yeah. So you know how like people will drop in your DM and be like, we have this jewelry brand, we want to collab with you, and you're like,
right, please leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Yeah, that's a different video. But so basically I posted a story just sharing where I was like, I want to lead retreats. That's what I want to do long term. Right. That's my vision.
That's your vision.
Yeah. And I got one of those messages. But I don't know if it was the wording or something about it. It was Tour Hero saying, hey, we are starting to offer wellness retreats on our platform. Could we have a conversation about it?
Yeah.
It felt less sketchy.
Yeah.
So I followed up with that, ended up having a 2-hour conversation with the founder, Viren, where I had a list of questions to see if it was legit. And
like, I'm going to find out what this is. What's the catch?
Yeah. And I said, I'm like, okay, like, what is the catch? Like, how much do I have to pay up front? Like, all this stuff, you know? And I ended up leaving that conversation excited, which is great because they passed the 30 question filter. So, yeah, I looked into them more, like basically just trying to find dirt on them.
Right.
Like,
right.
I didn't find any, and I felt pretty confident about maybe trying them out. I didn't feel like it was high risk. So from what I understand, Tour Hero is like a platform, and then they connect with people like me who have a vision for a retreat.
Yep.
And they take that information. Dude, Tour Hero, you're getting so much free marketing right now. I just want to say that. But like, they take that vision, and then they have all these connections around the world. So they're like, okay, Jena wants to lead a retreat in Iceland, and she wants it to be spa-like. Right. You reach out to these 3 places, and then they come back to me with different itineraries, and I get to literally just say like yes or no. And
you kind of help curate the experience.
What's that?
You kind of help with their connections, help curate the experience.
Yeah, exactly. And then they give me a bucket price, and then I get to add on my price to it, and that's pretty much it.
I'm so glad you trusted your intuition on that. I mean, and also did lots of research, because I won't lie, when you first showed me Tour Hero, my belly went, but I'm like, it's her intuition. Like, we'll see how it goes. She trusts it. I'm going to trust her. Like, let's go. And then next thing you know, like, you're like, I'm going to France. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Me too. I had so many people too reaching out before I had done, when I was planning France, that were like, hey, Tour Hero reached out to me. Are they legit? And this is after I'd launched my retreat. And so I was like, I sure hope so. Like, get back to me in November and I'll let you know. Like,
so share a little bit about your, like, when you were in the back and forth with Tour Hero, what kind of choices did you make about, like, because your specialty, right? Like, you are so good at holding space. So, like, how did you curate that to match your vision?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the way that I sort of choose where I'm going, because there's a whole wide world, you know, I just start, like, how do I explain it? I'll just start thinking of a place.
Right.
Like, it'll just be on my mind. So, like, last spring, I was thinking about France so much. I read the most random books that took place in France just to be there.
In the last interview, you showed the the French parenting book you were reading.
Bringing Up Bébé. An excellent book. Yeah. Even though I have no children or am not having children anytime soon, and I'm not in France. But that was the perfect book as a parenting book. Oh, for French babies. Yeah, but exactly like that. And so I actually wanted to do a surf and yoga retreat in south of France. And then they got back to me with not a surf retreat, but south of France. So initially I was like kind of bummed because I saw that element was removed. But then I read about the Frog's House, and I was just looking at pictures, and it was kind of the same thing where I felt really warm and like excited about it. It looked like a space that was tucked away, where you could really, felt like I could cultivate the space really well. And I liked that this specific place, the Frog's House, in their bio, the reason they named it that is because I guess the British people or something like that call French people frogs. Like it's slightly derogatory because they eat frogs' legs. Which I didn't eat one frog's leg when I was in France, but anyway, that they named it that to sort of like show that they're not taking themselves too seriously.
Right.
And I love that. I felt like that really lined up with my vision for healing, which is like to bring a lightheartedness into this like really what can be really heavy work.
Yeah.
So it even though it wasn't exactly what I wanted with surfing, everything else felt really aligned. And you can't really beat the foothills of France.
It looked really, really like scenic and warm and like cozy from the pictures that I saw that you posted.
Yeah.
So you got like the details and confirmed you were doing the retreat, but then there was some time between when you left in October. So maybe for anyone who has never been on that side of the table, what does it feel like to kind of be in the phase where you're trying to, you know, fill spaces in a retreat and get ready and plan, and like what kind of energies and thoughts go into that?
Lots of energy and lots of thoughts. Well, there's the initial excitement.
Yeah.
Like it's for me pure excitement where it's like, heck yeah, I'm doing this and I found this awesome thing and boom, you know.
Right.
And then after that is the plateau of like oh, it's really happening and people really need to sign up in order for it to happen, and
right.
the fears start coming up. And then one person signs up and then there's that peak of excitement.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing more people. For me, well, there were weeks where there was just one person signed up. And I was like,
do you ever feel like sometimes that's almost worse?
Yes.
Than zero?
Absolutely. Because I'm like, I'm going to crush her dreams. Like, no one else is going to come. Like, there goes my friend. You know? And then when more people start signing up and they're asking you questions about logistics and payments and stuff like that. And a lot of that I can direct them to Tour Hero, which is nice. But I started realizing the commitment people were making and the sacrifices.
Yeah.
And then I had this fear of like, what if I don't offer them, you know, like what they're paying for? Like, what if I don't offer them this excellent experience, you know?
Right.
But that feeling for me can easily be turned into, well, then let's go. Like, let's plan this thing and let's make it something like lovely. And
puts the fire under your ass to like really make it impactful.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm wondering, were there any unexpected surprises you experienced in the planning of your retreat?
Yes. The first one that comes to mind is that I posted this like reel that was just silly. It was like me to that Mamma Mia Britney Spears remix of like, give me more, give me more. And it was just like, I don't know, I was doing this dance and I don't know if viral is the right word, but it got like just a crap ton of views, like 60,000 or something. And it was shared a bunch of times. And someone saw that reel and signed up for my retreat. Like,
do you love that? That's awesome.
That was the first moment to me where I was like, oh, social media, and this person's from California.
Right.
And so
or would have met them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even though I'm from there, but like it was, yeah, exactly. I would have never connected with them here. Yeah. And so that was surprising. That was very surprising. And then, well, that's the first one that comes to mind. I can't think of any others at the moment.
So long did it take you after like confirming the retreat or like, you know, having the details to having enough people to make sure that it was actually going to happen?
I think 3 people signed up within a month of me launching it. And for me, that was enough to cover like my expenses.
Right. To,
so
like break even at least.
Yeah. So maybe 5 weeks ish. And then that was really exciting because after that, there were all these last minute signups. Like,
right.
Yeah. I had 2 people sign up the week of or something like that. That was fun. And so it was definitely a little bit of a roller coaster because it was like 1 person week 2 and then
right.
none for like 4 weeks. And then 2 more people signed up and then some more people signed up after.
Yeah. And like, isn't that so like marriage just like being an entrepreneur in general is like, yes, it's amazing. And then like, oh my God, down and up and down and like trying to find balance.
No, completely.
I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say an example of that is like, I think I sent out 80 invitations, personal invitations to my Iceland retreat, and I made them all like individual. I think I got like 40 people saying like, no.
Right.
And I was just feeling pretty down about it. And then, you know, I show up at this coffee shop and I don't even talk to someone, the barista, and she comes up and she's like, oh, I'm going. And like this happened the other day. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I love Iceland. I'm going. And I was like, cool.
Did you know her?
What's that?
Did you know her?
Yeah, she's one of the baristas at a coffee shop that I go to. So it's just like an example of like, you know, you spend a whole week like doing all this work and making flyers and having all these no's, and then in a moment someone is trying to get all their friends to sign up.
Right. I'm wondering like if you could go back to those 5 weeks and give yourself one piece of advice or like, you know, something to like help make her life a little easier, what might you say to her?
Well, what's that rule about time traveling where you're not supposed to like affect the future?
True, yeah.
But I'm gonna break that because I just like it's gonna be full, baby. Like don't even worry about a thing. Just make some fun reels.
Have a cup of coffee and calm down.
Yeah.
So you ultimately filled the retreat, right?
I did, yeah.
How did it feel like when you had a sold out retreat and you knew you were going to be going to France to lead this?
I thought it was a mistake. Like I went on to my link, which I'm the most frequent visitor of that link, let me tell you. I'm always checking on it. And it said sold out, and I messaged my tour hero person and I was like, hey, like it says sold out. I don't know if you want to fix that just to make sure that if people want to sign up. And she was like, no, like it is sold out. Like we can't make it not sold out because
like this is what we all want.
Yeah. And she's like, the space is filled. And that was just so exciting. That was like one of the peaks of my business so far.
So I personally would like feel that you're so brave. Like it would be so far out of my comfort zone to lead a group of other humans, like to travel to a different country and then like
if we're a group of cats, would you feel better about it?
No. Not even one cat.
Fair.
Like, so I see you as someone who is like has really great leadership skills to be able to like keep calm and all of that and like, you know, maintain your sanity. So when you were in France with all of the people that were in your retreat, how did
Yeah.
it feel to be like in that space, having only have left your job a few months before that?
It was intimidating.
Yeah.
When everyone I saw, so Ali, the one of the, there's 3 people that run the Frog's House, and Ali is one of the main ones, and he went to the airport to pick everybody up from the train station, and I stayed back to prepare the space for their first yoga moment. And so the Frog's House, on the top floor is where the yoga room is, or near the top. So I opened up the shutter windows and I could see the van approaching. And I had just so much emotion and excitement. I have a video actually of me like just freaking out as they arrive. Oh, Estefania just joined, which is one of the people that was exiting the van. Yeah, and I just had this moment of feeling the leadershipness of it, I guess. Pretty unreal, I guess, for that first moment.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that, like, I really appreciate what you're saying about like me having good leadership skills. But for this retreat, I felt so lucky to have the Frog's House because you know, I've never run a retreat, but they do them all the time. Yeah. And like Benoit, the person who I think owns the place and runs them, he is such a good leader, and like he does these all the time. And so it was just the perfect pairing for my first retreat, because I had what I had to offer, but I had a lot of gaps to fill from lack of experience, you know? Yep. And those gaps, Benoit just like filled in so well. And I learned so much from watching him like lead the group in his little Capricorn way. So I just learned a lot about leadership just from watching him, that I basically took notes during that whole trip, and am gonna implement them into my next trip.
What is one thing that you learned about leadership?
So this is like one really specific and maybe subtle seeming thing, but like I'm very extroverted, so that means that I would have to go out of my way to think about how introverts would prefer to experience things. And one thing Benoit did right off the bat, which I'd really never seen before, was he invited people to share their intention for the retreat, but he also like really warmly invited people to not share too. And then when he gave space, and there was no like pressure for the people that didn't share, and when the people who shared had shared and the people who didn't, he thanked the people who shared, and he genuinely thanked the people who didn't share.
That is really, really nice,
right?
As an introvert, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting from a yoga perspective, because if we focus so much on asana and like physical adjustments and modifications, like there's other modifications that aren't physical, and just like something simple like that can make someone feel so safe.
Definitely.
What were your favorite parts about being in France on your retreat?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I feel like we were so spoiled, especially when it came to food. Like, okay, every single meal was specifically prepared. It was almost completely vegan. I'm not vegan. Everyone thinks I'm vegan. I'm not vegan. I grew up in a Filipino household. I ate a crap ton of meat. Like, anyway, that was such a side note. But the fact that they were all vegan meals and fresh, it just fueled our bodies like so well. One specific moment, we went on a hike to the Baus, which is this cliff area in Saint-Genès. And then on the hike down, we stopped in this meadow where the sun was pouring in through the trees, and we had a picnic. Like, and for me, a picnic is like throwing peanut butter, some jelly, and bread, and like a Gatorade, you know?
Right.
Not the case. We had like 4 different cheeses picked out. We had 2 wines, 1 red and 1 white. And like,
wow.
Yeah.
Did you have a wicker basket?
I believe there was a wicker basket. Okay, I might be, no, I totally made that up in my head. There was a checkered blanket, but we had to divide the supplies by backpack, I'm remembering. But it was just so unreal, and it was so peaceful for me, because at home I'm always thinking about where I need to go next. Right. And in this moment, in this picnic, in this valley, in the hills of Saint Jena, like, we were all just there together, and that's exactly what we had to do that day. That was the agenda. Right. You know, there was no rush. There was nowhere else we needed to be. And then Benoit led us on an optional meditation, like in this space, and it was just really beautiful. So that was one of my favorite moments.
Oh, it sounds so lovely and so simple.
Yeah.
What do you think, as the leader of this retreat and as like a teacher, what was really challenging for you?
I think one thing that was challenging was specifically, so we had this day where we went to a rock climbing and zip lining place, and we had a couple people who had like really big reactions, and / panic attack type of thing. And I hope she doesn't mind me saying this. One of those people was my mother-in-law. And so it was this hard moment of leadership where I wanted to hold that space well, but it was hard because and the other woman was also much older than me. So that, I didn't quite know how to hold the space well. Yeah. And thankfully there's Benoit again coming down, but he took care of them really well. And, that was a moment, and I could have beat myself up about that. Like, you're supposed to be the leader in that situation. But really, I was able to have gratitude for the fact that there was someone else there to hold that space where I could again watch and learn, you know? Yeah. And it ended up being like a really good and healing experience, and one where I had to let go a little bit and see the bigger picture.
Yeah. And traveling, like, you know, traveling and being in new different experiences creates a extra layer of complexity if you are trying to hold space for someone. And sometimes, you know, leadership is about like letting go and like knowing this is not the, like, I'm not going to be able to hold this space right now for whatever reason, like someone else can take over right now. Like, I see that as a leadership skill as well.
I completely agree. I think there's, it really is a balance, because I think part of leadership is just like embracing your humanness too, and not trying to be Superman, Superwoman, you know? And that is a balance, because there are times when you're meant to be the container that's strong and sturdy. And then there's times where you're meant to be the water with everyone else, you know? Yeah.
So after your retreat, you came home, and I'm wondering how much longer I might have to move. Can you hear me, love?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, when you came back from your retreat, what kind of like emotions are around like coming home, you know, like that, like post-travel?
I'm just laughing because the first thing that came to my mind was like, shit, now I have to market all of this. Like, I was like, I literally was like, now I have to bastardize my experience into little videos on Instagram. Which is like a really negative viewpoint of, you know.
Honest.
Yeah. And I, also to add to that, I didn't come straight home. I extended my experience by traveling around Italy with my childhood best friend.
Yeah, that's right.
Who also came on the retreat. And I think, if you don't mind, this just kind of leads into something that a lesson that I've been mulling over.
Yeah.
And it's just like that if you're trying to determine if what you're doing is successful, like you have to have other metrics besides numbers.
Totally.
Because France was so successful in my eyes because of the relationships.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like I feel like I've developed such a friendship with the leaders of the Frogs House. And to the point where like I messaged them when the baguette became what was it? It became one of the UN artifacts. Like it's something like that where it's like if aliens were to look to Earth and see like what are humans like, the baguette is
That's
anyway. Yeah, and like they're leading a couples retreat, and me and my partner probably will be going on that. And I'm leading. All right, whatever. I just outed myself. I'm leading another retreat with them in October, and to me, it's just like the fact that relationship was developed is so successful, and the fact that my childhood best friend and she got to come experience the space that I created. Yeah. We've been friends since we were 4. Wow. Like, and that this retreat enabled that, and then enabled me to be able to pay for a whole trip through Italy with her.
Do you think what do you think? I'm going to ask the question the opposite way. Cool. What do you think Jena in June would think of or say to Jena post first retreat?
I think she'd be like, I don't know, just like, you can go. The first thing I thought of was a chest bump, and I don't think I've like ever chest bumped. No, I have.
So I would love if you would take a moment, or as many moments as you need, to paint a picture for us of your Iceland retreat.
Okay.
And give us all the details necessary.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start with the logistics.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the paint. April 18th through the 22nd. The H is silent. Verigardi, Iceland, so southern Iceland. 13 hours of sunshine a day, just saying. Usually $24.50 for the price, but until February 8th, it's going to be $22.50. Okay.
February 8th.
So February 8th.
All right, that's only like a week away.
Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, that's the logistics. As far as what it is, I am leading a 5-day retreat in southern Iceland, like 30 minutes from Reykjavik. And it's at this place, the Frost and Fire Hotel, which is located in a geothermal hotspot. So basically, boiling water runs right under the surface of this town. And what that means is the river that runs right along the hotel is warm all the time. It means there's a lot of natural hot springs, including this one private jacuzzi, which kind of juts out from the hotel, and it overlooks just like wide open space.
Wow.
The pictures look like something from a sci-fi. It looks like a different world. And I am like such a water baby, and I've experienced so much healing with like being in water. So I'm just, for this retreat, I'm really excited to be able to offer both like yoga space and then also the opportunity for people to like be submerged in these hot springs in the warm river. Probably can find a little ice plunge to the hot bath type situation.
Is it cold there? I don't know anything about Iceland. Is it cold in Iceland?
So I didn't either, and I actually mistold someone. Thankfully they can't go anyway, but I was like, yeah, I think it's gonna be like 60 degrees in April. Lies. I think it's gonna be like 40s to low 50s.
For hot
but like
springs temperature.
But then hot springs are like very warm. Yeah. I think they're like 100 plus. So that will be the juxtaposition. And then, like I said, sunshine 13 hours a day.
And also, can you share the theme of your retreat, please?
Oh my gosh. Yes, and there's also a little lesson tied up in this because the theme is exploring darkness.
Love it.
Me too. And my heart behind that was like, this winter, I have really been embracing like coming inside, not just literally, but like into myself. And just like kind of embracing a little bit of water element in the sense of like not trying to burn through things and like make plans and annihilate stuff, but just like feeling what I feel and not having to run away from it and finding ways to embrace myself.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be so beautiful. And I thought about the Northern Lights, which are a possibility in April. They're not as like guaranteed as like the winter time, but usually you can see them in April. So I imagined like creating this experience where people were coming in tune with their intuition and like really embracing those parts of ourselves that we kind of get to like shove away a lot of the times in the midst of like the Northern Lights and the Icelandic tundra and you know, these warm rivers and lakes. So the funny thing is that I felt this is one of those moments. Someone commented on one of my posts who lives in Alaska. Love this guy. And he was like, oh, and the sunshine 13 hours a day. And I was like, oh my God. Like, there goes my theme. I didn't look up how much sunshine would be.
Bob Ross says that you can't, without light, there is no dark. Without dark, there's no light. There has to be contrast.
Saint Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Love that.
Ross present Christmas.
That's so true. Yeah. And I thought, you know, after I got over the like me cringing at myself for that, I thought, you know what, that's still so beautiful because we're going to explore that inner self in the beautiful sunshine during the day. And then in midnight, we're going to do a hike to a warm lake and we're going to bathe under the freaking stars because midnight will be dark enough.
So if someone is listening to this and they're like, wow, that sounds really powerful, or that's resonating with me a lot, I've been needing to travel, how might they come to join your retreat?
Yeah. Well, there is a link in my bio. It should say Iceland retreat, and they can click on that, and then that will bring them to the Tour Hero website, which has any information you could ever possibly want or need. It has the whole itinerary. It has the like what's included, the price breakdown, I think, and information about Frost and Fire, information about me, information about Tour Hero. And you can just like reserve your spot straight through there. Awesome. And the nice thing with the early bird is they also lowered the registration fee. So right now it's $200 for the down payment instead of $600. So,
and the early bird price goes right until February 8th. Mm-hmm. Okay, just so everyone remembers that.
Yeah, get in there. Save $200.
Jena, is there anything else you would like to share about before we end this time?
Just that I sure am thankful to have you as my coach.
Aw,
yeah.
I'm thankful to have you. I love working with you. It's so much fun. And
truly, like I think it's so easy to sort of forget the progress I've made, and to have you and we meet together and you're like, so let me get this straight, and you like pull out the list of all my accolades from the last year. I'm like, oh yeah. So it's super nice, and I would recommend everyone a Shelby.
Oh, thank you so